Oh, there we are. Okay. All right. So we're on Facebook now and we're live. So now we
Oh,
just
how cute.
yeah, it's good. All right. So we have one person watching and it's Betty. Betty said she loves the two of us.
Hi, Betty. I was thinking we want to do this. This is a practice for me. I've never done Facebook Live, so I'm glad it's just Betty right now, so we can practice on you.
Yeah.
But,
And we're, go ahead.
I want us, Kathy and I, whenever we get together, we have such a good time. And Jesus said, I think where two or more are gathered, it's like tenfold the energy of whatever you're going to do. So if two of you are going to rob a bank, you're going to do it better together than if you're alone. And so, I think about Kathy a lot because we could be sisters, but barely, because she's way younger than I am. I had to have been, let's see, what year were you born?
61.
So I graduated from high school in 61. So I can think, oh, my mom had another baby and I'm a senior in high school. So,
but I'm the 8th child. I have a brother that graduated high school in 61. Like my sister Tina is 13 years older than me. Then there's another one and there's another one.
So you're the baby, and there's something really juicy about I'm another generation. So it's so good that we can help people together because
I agree. I really do. I agree with you that we both, but the thing about you and me is I was brought up by he was born in 1912, my father, and my mother was 10 years older than him. So she was 1922, I guess. So I kind of have both. I have a lot of the old,
sure,
stuff,
because your parents were the same age as my parents.
Right. Yeah.
Well, but for right now, the way I see things for how we help people stay organized is to make it fun. We both love that idea that if it isn't fun, and I would love to call our chat just for fun.
Just for fun. I love that.
Let's do it's just for fun. However, you can ask questions because we're both veterans with the 3x5 cards and my old binder. I mean, you probably are one of the closest followers I've ever had that really did the work.
Right. Yeah.
It's commendable.
I know I've met people that have done it. One of my Tidy Tutor people, I saw her card box. Like I was over her house and she said, oh, well, I did do that. And I said, you did? And she said, yeah, I did it a long time ago. I still have the card box. So she brought it to me and I'm looking at it and I'm like, why didn't you do it the way it was supposed? Like when I looked at it, then this is what I find when I help people too. Like we'll go through and then sometimes they'll be like, you know what, Kathy, I need some one-on-one coaching because I'm just not getting it. And then we'll do one-on-one coaching and I'll say, well, did you set a timer? And she goes, yeah, I know it's 5 minutes. It's like, no. Did you set a timer? Like there's all these little nuances that a lot of people just don't think are necessary. So like in her card box, she didn't have, like she had things written in different places, like Minnie was somewhere else. And then there was a little list on there. Like, wait, what's this list? We deal with lists, like
right.
That. So I'm taking an archetype class now and it's like on all different personalities that people have and stuff. And so I'm learning that if you're like, say, a maverick, then you want to go against the grain with everything. So, and if you're like a nurturer, then you're not going to put yourself first. So if we talk to somebody and say, look, you have to do it now, they're going to be like, all right, I can do it now, but first I have to take care of this person, So I'm kind of figuring out why people like balk at the rules. And like, I was so desperate that if you told me I needed to stand on one foot for 15 minutes every morning while I recited the Pledge of Allegiance, I would have freaking done it. So I wasn't going to deviate. I was like, give me the rules.
I'll follow. And yet the system enables you to customize it for you because you want it to be for
you definitely do, but not until you get it.
Right.
First you have to, because if it was working our way, we wouldn't have done it. Like what you've done for me and like for the world, as far as I'm concerned, like anybody that would go into this system, it's ingenious. Like I'm trying to make it work now for my business and I'm seeing all the work you did on the back end. I just stepped right into it. And I was like, okay, and before that it wasn't the zones, but still you had everything broken up. I just copied it, like,
Mm.
oh, here it is, kitchen. Okay, we copy it down. You did it. Yeah, amazing, wonderful.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was a joy. So what do we want to, if we're going to make this fun, I'd like to bring up a subject right now. My dog. I have a dog, which I've always wanted a dog since I've been married to Terry, and he's not a dog person. And but when he married me, he knew I was. I had a basset hound for criminy sake. So,
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing more dog than a
you can't
basset
get any
hound.
more of a dog than a basset hound. Yeah.
But anyway, when Chelsea Marie died, I'd say 25 years ago, I kept saying I need to replace her when I was over my grieving, and I didn't replace her because he'd say okay, and then I'd forget about it, and then I'd go off and do my own thing. And so I've had tastes of dogs. He calls it a dog fix. So he lets me go see the puppies at the Humane Society because he knows I'm not going to get one there. I don't want a puppy. They're too much work.
Right.
So I finally, it's about 2 months ago, I put my foot down and I said, I need a dog. I want one, and I want one like Maggie Moo. She's a Labradoodle. And my Peggy's daughter, Allie, has a Labradoodle, Maggie, and we would dog sit her, and she would come for like a week at a time when they'd go off somewhere on a vacation. And it was their only kid, really. It's Maggie,
Right.
very well behaved. And so I knew I wanted a Labradoodle because they're smart, but I didn't want a puppy. So I went on the internet, and you can search for used Labradoodles, and I found several, but used dogs come with lots of issues that I really didn't want to, one wouldn't even let the leash be on it, and then they kind of had to drag it along, and Labradoodles are really frisky. And so I thought, oh no, I don't know what I'm going to do. A week later, I get a call from Allie, and she and her husband, they're too busy and they couldn't handle leaving her alone as much as she was being left alone. They asked me if I would like to have her. So I got her. And so I've had her for a month, and she's just such a joy. And she gets me out more because I was kind of it's comfortable in here, but they have to go out and they have to walk, and they're a big dog. So she's got to run, and it's just been so much fun. And I've thought about how when there's something in you that you really do, you're a kitty person or you are an animal person, you really do need to mind that message. I should have had a dog a long time ago, but I have her now.
That's exciting.
Now I have to, she's in the cards now because although she doesn't have to be, when she's hungry, she lets me know. I probably don't need a card on her.
Yeah. I had a list for Emily when she was in high school that I kept on the refrigerator. And Emily is like completely me, like spilling out the front door kind of person,
Yeah.
And so she had a list on there, and I found it in the attic because my son bought the house that I had, and so I was in the attic cleaning up stuff for Emily because she left it a wreck. And I found her thing, her little list, her daily routine. And on it said walk dog. And I took it home because Oscar's been gone for a long time now. And I took it home and I showed it to her, and that's the first thing she said was, oh, look, walk dog. It's such a blessing. But the thing with that is, when I first got started, I even put on one of my cards was change the baby's diaper. Not like I didn't change the diaper before, of course I did, but I needed it in there. I needed to be like regimented, because without it, I was like, what I say is I was like on a raft in the middle of the ocean, but without any oars. So it's like, oh, the oars are right over there. How the heck do I get to them? Yeah. And like the whole dog thing, it could be a real disaster if you don't have something in the mix,
Oh,
my moment, how you talk about your moment that you had, like when you hit bottom,
yes.
My moment was I got dropped off, and this has a dog thing. That's why I thought of this. I had a dog at the time. Always had a dog. First time in my life I didn't have a dog, and it's weird. I haven't had one since 2015, I think, and I'm feeling itchy, but
Yeah.
So I got dropped off from like a church thing that I did with a family member, and I had three little kids at the time, and all three of them were asleep in the car because it was a late night thing, and so I got dropped off, and it was my brother-in-law, and he said, "Here, I'll carry one in, you carry one in," and I was like, "Oh no, that's okay, I'll carry him in." And what was I going to do? Do you really think this man was going to allow it to go to sit in the driver's seat when I walked in and out 3 times. One of them was 5 years old, you know?
Yeah.
And the dog that morning had trashed the garbage. And I had so many things lined up that I had to do because, of course, I volunteered for this church thing. So I had like 50,000 cookies to bake and crafts to do and children's shirts to run and all that stuff. So I just ignored it and just stepped over all the garbage on the floor, the puppy grinds, the diapers, you know, the garbage, everything. The only thing I picked up was bones so the dog didn't die, you know?
Yeah.
He walked in carrying the babies, never a word was spoken. He never said anything. I didn't say anything. I don't even remember saying goodbye. I just remember like it was all in slow motion, you know?
Yeah.
And so I
And
was
then,
bringing it back to the whole dog thing that really our whole lives are affected. Even the simplest thing like having a dog that should be a complete joy and that a lot of times just completely isn't because of our ism.
yes, right. And with dogs, at least the dogs I've known throughout my life, and they were in my family when I was young too. They do require care, and there's weekly, monthly. I notice now I got to get out on the lawn before the garden people come, and I didn't have to go out there to pick up dog poop before.
Oh,
And
yeah.
but and I don't want to. It's not going to be a daily thing. I think the garden people come on Friday, so I got to get out there.
And then you were saying about grooming, right? Because she doesn't shed or anything, but she
No.
does get, she's like Velcro, right?
She's like Velcro. And I took her to a groomer, and the groomers, been a groomer at a veterinary place for 20 years. So she's really, what do you call that? When you've done it a lot. She said, I don't think she's ever been professionally groomed. And I have to say, she did before the lady groomed her. She kind of looked like a bad skein of curly yarn. Just, and it kind of looked like I got her out of a homeless shelter. Just, but beautiful that body. Well, the woman said, I said, take her down to 2 inches is what we were going for, which would be, I can look at her tail and it's about 5 inches. And they claim they keep growing and growing and growing. Like you'd have
Wow.
this way. Well, she said I couldn't take it down to 2. They took her down to 1 inch. So she's pretty much shaved except for her ears and her tail. But my granny used to say, if you had a bad haircut, she'd say, oh, you'd come home from the place and she'd say, oh, babe, it'll grow out. That's how you know it was
Thanks,
bad.
Fran.
Yeah, thanks, Granny.
I'm going to look and see if we have any questions or anything.
Okay.
But there's a lag. So they're hearing what we're saying now, probably in about 20 seconds later or 30 seconds later. So
Okay.
Ann said, hi, Kathy and Pam. Great to see both of you together. Thanks, Ann. Bonnie said, hi. Bonnie, I met Bonnie. I went and visited her in Virginia. When I was homeless for a month. It was wonderful. Her and I did a video together when I was there called My Imaginary Life, because she realized when she was getting rid of things that she had all these things for their imaginary life, like, oh, when all the grandchildren come, oh, when we have that great big, celebration in the dining room, and oh, when my friends come to see all the lovely pottery, and the grandchildren hardly ever came. They never did have that great big party. Nobody cares about your pottery. It was like an imaginary life, and
it's so true, Kathy. It's so true. We live a lot in our heads, and we got to have what we're doing right now feeling like that imaginary life. Somebody said, a happy life is just a string of happy moments, but most people don't allow the happy moment because they're too busy trying to get a happy life.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's
you were sharing that with me, how you're like, savor the moment, right? When you were telling me that, like, you see people eating and the first bite or two, it's quiet. And then after that, they're just like shoveling it down, like savor the taste, savor the moment. And so Bonnie is, she sold her house. She's renting now. All of the things she owns inside is either disposable or will be, is earmarked for a family member or somebody. They have an RV parked outside, and she has like a daycare at home. And when they retire, which is I think next year, they're in the mobile home. That's it. and nothing. She says, even like she was a collector of like Disney,
Oh,
Disney freak, you know,
yeah.
all these Disney, and she just gave it all away. She's like, it's so freeing. And when I was walking through her house, she was like, yeah, that's my son's outdoor furniture. This is my son's dining room. This is going, you know, like it's.
Oh, so each room is a designated to a kid.
Yeah, everything is, yeah, or to Salvation Army or something. You know what I mean? Everything is either donated or one of the kids are getting it, and that's it. So she had a 1980s closet, a closet with all 1980s clothes that she was still like, I gotta get rid of these, you know. But basically, like, you know, there's all those little things that we kind of like, why are we still holding on to this?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
You know, and it's funny, the fads thing, I think when you're younger, your age and younger than you, you're kind of getting to a place where it isn't so true. You're not pulled in and seduced by the fads where you've got to have the latest stuff. And
No.
I have young friends who are, and it's fun. That's a phase that you have in your life that you want that stuff. But if you keep it, you're just freezing yourself. You're freezing yourself in an old time. And I think of, like, I'm looking at your top that you have on. It's just a classic top. You could have bought that in the 40s. And and I like to look for things that are just classic, so I can keep wearing them all the time. I don't have to.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think we get sucked into like this, you know, the designer world, when really all they're doing is ensuring that they'll have work next year.
It is. Oh, I got this catalog, and I love the title. It was cozy something, and I like the word cozy. And it's all slippers and pajamas and nightgowns and bedding, and so I'm looking through, and I like down pillows, and I have a down comforter. It was the greatest thing I ever owned during menopause, because they're light, and you have a hot flash, you throw it off, and then you can put it back on you, and you heat up instantly. They're the best. I would recommend that if any of you are going through the change. But I like down pillows because you can get fixed in it and then poke on the pillow so your nose hole isn't plugged up. I love that. So, but I need to either I think I don't know how they lose their down, but they must, because mine seems to be getting littler and littler. So I'm looking in the catalog. There are down standard size pillows for $3,899 for a pillow.
Really?
Now, who sleeps on a $4,000 pillow, and who needs to?
Wow, that's funny.
So
I had no clue. I had no idea.
So somebody really needs to have their job next year to, God.
That's great.
I heard an old lady, I don't remember what her name was, but it was a YouTube video. And she says, I'm 73 years old. And I'm 76 years old. And she said, I'm looking at myself here on Facebook, well, the picture I can see of myself here. And the lady said, this time of year, I got to really be careful because I kind of look like a turkey. It's a dangerous time of the year for us.
Oh, that's hysterical.
To stay out of the countryside.
That is great. There's a book called They Didn't Tell Me About My Neck, I think is what it's called.
That's the book.
I haven't read it yet. I put it on my wish list on Audible, and I saw this lady a long, long time ago in some interview, and it was about, like, you know, you could do this, but you can't do anything about that. Like, they didn't tell me about my neck.
Yeah.
And it's kind of about aging. It's very humorous. It's good.
Turtlenecks.
Yeah.
I guess that would work.
He wears a lot of turtlenecks, if you notice.
And then I get to the point, I don't really care. I go on a television show once a month in Portland, Oregon. And last month I went on I took my husband on, I drug him on, which he didn't drag. He likes television. But we went as the Gothic couple, you know, the old woman and man and the pitchfork. Yeah. And we went on, and I said to Terry, I can't wear any makeup because I have to look really authentically like that old lady. And she's simple, plain, and kind of ugly. And so I vowed I wouldn't go on with any makeup. And it was kind of fun just to be there. And and I looked terrible. I look like an old.
Oh, that's awesome. I have to see the link. I'm sure you have it.
I do have it. So.
All right, good.
Good.
All right, but this is this is what we do for all you guys watching. This is what we do. We could just get lost
Yeah.
in this one topic after the next, and somehow they all relate.
And like we told Betty at the start, because she was the only one on there, was that we're calling it just for fun.
Just for
It's
fun.
just for fun. You can ask any questions about getting organized. We can help you, but we want to play with you. We want to lift your spirit so that kind of like you would look forward to it. And I think Kathy and I'll do it regularly because we have so much fun with each other.
This sounds
And
great.
I would look forward to, oh, I've got to do just for fun. I would like that.
Good. All right, good. So, but this is what I'll do. When this is done, I'll take it and I'll put it up on YouTube, and I'll encourage people from YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube, go over to our Facebook pages or our Facebook groups. My Facebook page is Facebook/The Tidy Tutor. Do you know yours?
It's Club Organized.
Club Organized. So it's Facebook/Club Organized.
Well, if you just went on Facebook and put Club Organized in the
It'll
search
come up.
thing,
All
it
right.
would come up.
Beautiful.
And I'm not a good salesman. I hate sales, but I have a plug. My book, The Good Book, Get Out of Debt. I have a special going right now. And if you buy the CDs, I think there are 8 of them, and just go on Club Organized and look for Getting Out of Debt.
Awesome.
And
I've heard so much about it. I
yeah,
never bought it because I never got into debt. It was like one of
oh,
my
you're
things.
so lucky, Kathy. So anyway, what it is I'm giving, if you buy the CDs and the 8 of them, you get the audiobook free and the ebook free and the printed book free. So you get CDs if you like those to have in the car, and it's just a different format, but you also get all 3, the printed book and the ebook and the audiobook.
Very
So,
cool.
good deal.
Very good deal. That's great. All right. Well, since we're plugging, I might as well plug. I teach a course, Tutor University, that is formatted from Sidetracked Home Executives and their system, and as it's kind of evolved through the years. Right now, I'm doing something I call Tidy Tutor Boot Camp, and it's only the second one I've done. And so I'm doing it. Last time I did it, I only did it for my members, and this time I'm opening it up to anybody. So if you're interested in that, we'll put both of those links in the chat right here, in the description, or wherever you're watching this. You'll be able to get those links and find out more about it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, honestly, I swear, neither one of us thought we were going to do that, but what happened to me recently? I knew I needed some help with my mindset with some things, and I was following somebody on Facebook, and then she was selling something, right? And I was thinking, do I want this? I think I might want this. And then it was over, and you couldn't get in anymore. And I remember when it was over, I said to myself, gee, I wish she would have sold me more. Like, gee, I wish she would have. I knew I needed what she was offering.
Yeah.
And so after that, I said to myself, because sometimes when you're on the other end and you are selling, you feel like, oh, I don't want to really ask them again. But in reality, if somebody needs what we're giving, it's like I felt like she gave me a disservice by not pushing a little bit more, because I needed what she had.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the Good Book, I wrote it quite a few years ago now. I was at a point in time when Peggy and I weren't working together anymore. She retired because of health. And I was alone, and I was used to our 2 voices. And that's why I like playing with you, Kathy. I like to have a partner to play with and bounce off of, and it's just fun. I like that. But once we weren't working together, we weren't writing together, we weren't going on television together. And I was used to that good life of money that I didn't even have to think about. It just came in. And so to keep that up, I looked at credit cards like they were income. So a credit card might say, oh, we've raised your limit to $30,000, and it was at 20, say. And I think, whoa, I just made $10,000. That's how silly my thinking was. And it's been a long time ago, to the point of I did that until I was $26,000 in credit card debt alone, just that, waiting for the optimism that I get. I'm going to write another book, and we're going to have another thing happen. And it ended up, I was in the middle of the night. Oh, I know. My agent called and he said, we want you to write another book. And I said, oh, great. What, on what? How to organize your finances.
Oh, no.
And I'd have to say, well, here's what you do. You get you're in a big mess, write a funny book and you'll get out of it. That would have been what I'd say. and I had to, I was embarrassed, which you are when your finances are that way. And I ended up turning it down. I can't write this. And it took me 2 years, little over 2 years to get out of debt by myself, by applying principles that I discovered by myself. And it turned out that I have an inner child that was spending all the money, and I named her Nellie. And so Nellie's been with me now since that was the first Nellie book I wrote. And I found out she was behind my eating habits. There's a little girl in us, and right now, especially as the holidays are coming, we just made it through Halloween, and my banker, she's a love and has read all of my books. She said, I have not eaten one piece of trick-or-treat candy. And this was 2 days after Halloween. She'd made it through without eating the sugar, which a lot of people can't do that unless you get a hold of that inner child who's got a sweet tooth. And so there's that little person in us that this time of year, they can really make you go with the decorations and the everything. You can have fun with her, but you have to be the mom to her. And that's kind of what my books are about.
Yeah. It's so funny because I say that all the time, like, be your own mommy. You have to be your own. You have to be your own mommy. We've got to tell ourselves no sometimes. But embracing that little person in us instead of like always scolding her.
Right. When I discovered Nellie was behind my finances, I said, okay, you little brat, we are going to have a budget. And it was like, no, not a budget. No, it's like being in prison. Nope, we're going to have a budget and we're going to stick to it. And I totally lost being a nice parent. I had to learn how to. Now I adore that part of me. I adore that says, do you want to have wine or cheese? Well, we're not having either one. It's not what we're having right now. Don't ask that. That's smarty pants. So you just get to learn that voice in you, and then you just laugh at her and have fun with her. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. That course I told you that I was
yes.
taking, it helped me see that all the things about me that I always thought were wrong, I'm now realizing, oh no, they're just gifts, but they've run amok. And if we see that, like, oh, this is the way I tick. Oh, I see. Now, how can it work for me instead of against me?
Exactly. That's, I don't know, one of those fancy philosophers, I don't remember who it was, not Churchill or somebody, Webster, or I don't know, John Denver maybe, said, and now I forgot what he said, but what were you saying?
That we have gifts and
yes. Oh, above to thine own self be true, and know thyself. That's the most important thing, is to know yourself, know who you are, because it's an amazing, complicated thing that we each are. And when you start knowing yourself, it opens up such a compassion for others, because you understand we're all, I can look at someone who has a weight problem and I just love that person. And just my prayer is, get to know yourself, because you are such a beautiful person and you're strong. I think when you think of somebody that's morbidly obese, think how strong they are. Think how strong they are to be weightlifting. That is such a blessed, strong person. And all it takes is this little click in your mind that says, okay, little girl, sugar is probably our main thing, and it is addictive. That's probably the thing we're going to have to work on here. And she'll interrupt you like kids do. Remember when you had young kids and it was just constantly mama, especially when you were interested in something else? Well, your inner child does the same thing. When you're busy with something, they sneak in a thought, there's ice cream in the freezer. There's, yeah, let's make a double batch of chocolate chip cookies. That you were going to send one batch to your son. Why not make a double batch and then freeze it, and you'll send him some later? No, you want to eat those. Right. And I also say, if you don't buy it, you can't eat it. So
yeah.
How
do you get on that?
I don't know. Well, because and I have a meeting. I have to leave at 8:45. I have a meeting at 9, and it'll take me 15 minutes to get here.
We're ready to go. We've been closing for about 15 minutes now.
Oh, okay. So this is just going to be a half hour, what we'll do?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess we'll just wing it. Or maybe we should set a timer so that we can stick to.
That's a good one.
A topic. We'll talk about a topic. and we'll wing it.
Okay. What topic do you want to talk about next time?
I don't know. What if we just ask people and then
Okay.
go from there?
Okay. Yay.
Oh, this was so fun. Thank you so, so much for this.
Thank you, Kathy. And thank you everybody for watching us. And
Your
I hope
website is cluborganized.com, right?
it's cluborganized.com.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No,
All
just
right.
I'm just thank you for watching.
Okay. All right. Thanks. This was fun.
Bye.
Bye.